This video is a continuation of my playthrough of Axis Empires, and we are now in the spring of 1945, and I'm going to start on the European map in March and April 1945. And this at this point in the game, the victory point marker is still on Axis Tide 0 VP. So we start with the Axis strategy reveal, and they reveal total war production. And with this card, the Axis forces continue to fall back into defensive positions. They make no attacks, and then we go right on to the Western Allies strategy, which is Operation Plunder. So this card gives Britain and the United States additional replacements that they can add to the map, and then the Allies continue their attacks in the west, which are quite bloody. I don't have a current picture of this. However, the Ruhr falls to the Allies. That is a key strategic location. And also there are attacks in Italy, in northern Italy, which push the Germans farther back. This card play has a historical quote from Winston Churchill on it. We should shake hands with the Russian as far to the east as possible. Then the Soviet Union reveals their strategy. It is Little Red Banner Offensive. And there's a historical quote on the card from Joseph Stalin, who said, "So, the bastard's dead. Too bad we didn't capture him alive." So the Soviet Union, with this card, Little Red Banner Offensive, gets to deploy a large number of replacements to the map, and then the Soviets attack the Romanian capital, Bucharest, and the Axis forces there surrender. So Bucharest is captured by the Soviet Union. I'm going to just continue this to April and May of 1945 on the European map. And we have here is shown in the picture that the Axis is falling back onto their interior lines in Germany, and they make no attacks as one would expect. And then the Western Allies do finally attack across the Rhine, and they manage to capture Hamburg. You can see that in the left-hand top of the picture here, where Hamburg is captured, and then to the left center of the picture, you see there's a tip of an Allied American First Army in the Ruhr, adjacent to the German H headquarters. In these final attacks here, both sides suffer heavy losses. And then, not depicted in the map, we have the Soviets capturing Minsk. And that kind of brings the European map game to an end. And the victory point track is on Allied crusade to victory points. The Allies win the war, but the Axis player actually wins the game because of the Axis tide marker, which was locked on no retreat at 3 victory points, which means that the Allies really needed 2 additional victory points to win. They would have needed 4 victory points to win. So this is actually an Axis win. And in retrospect, I would say it's the Soviets who are the ones who really failed here. And so when the war ends, they're going to pay, even though they won, for their lack of influence in Eastern Europe. Let's continue our review of the spring of 1945 by going over to the Pacific map. So it's March, April 1945 in the Pacific. It's a new seasonal turn, and the Allies have the Allied crusade marker at 1 victory point. So the Japanese reveal their strategy, which is Kitsu-go defense plan. And so this is a Japanese, basically suicidal defense plans which are put into motion. And troops are moved to Iwo Jima and Okinawa. And the Japanese commander uses the suicide raiders to take out 2 of the Allies' support units. Then the Allies launch Operation Iceberg, and we have a quote from Admiral Nimitz where he said, "Among the Americans serving on Iwo Island, uncommon valor was a common virtue," end of quote. And so, as shown in the picture, we see the U.S. Marines make an amphibious landing, a landing on Iwo Jima. The Japanese Navy does launch a carrier strike, but the Allies' Navy is superior at this point, and the United States aircraft carriers perform an airstrike in close support. And the Marines win the day, and they seize Iwo Jima. The Soviet commander implements a limited war production, and so that's going to yield some infantry and tank replacements that can go to the map. And we have a historical quote from Joseph Stalin on this strategy card. It reads, "Long live our Soviet motherland. Long live our Red Army and Navy. Long live the great Soviet people. Long live friendship of the peoples of the Soviet Union. Long live the Soviet partisans, men and women. Eternal glory to the heroes who have fallen in battle for the freedom and independence of our motherland." End of quote. So the Soviet player uses this opportunity to flip the policy marker to armistice. Then in April and May of 1945, the Japanese leaders make a few troop movements, but it's basically a defense, and everything is in place for the strongest as possible. It is expected that the Allies will hit Okinawa next, and as expected, they do during their part of the turn. I don't have a picture of this, but the fortress was greatly reduced. However, the Japanese stronghold hangs in there. The Allies are using a tremendous amount of naval resources, and the Japanese really have no way to inhibit the focus of the attacks. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union maneuvers with some of the troops on the Siberian Railroad. And that will bring the spring of 1945 to a close, and we are going to continue in the next video with the summer of 1945, but only on the Daisenso map. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.